So, hear me out on this one. Oklahoma City and Tulsa, two not very dense cities in a not very populated state, is on precisely nobody's list of city pairs that would be great for fast, frequent interstate passenger rail. But I think that throws up a topic that isn't frequently discussed: how cities can evolve to match modes of transport, and how rail can be a catalyst for better cities rather than the other way around, which city pair modelling so frequently assumes. I'm looking at Oklahoma City and Tulsa because in many ways they are typical continental American cities. If interstate passenger rail is to work on a national scale again, it is important to look at how a city like Oklahoma City works today and how it could evolve around high-speed rail. I'm going to work backwards through this idea, showing what this line could look like and how the cities would evolve to match the opportunities of the line. The Oklahoma City station will be a brand new building right here where this brick-down parking lot is today. This location is in walking distance of the rest of the Bricktown district, a very pretty urban environment home to a AAA ballpark, and the high-rises of downtown Oklahoma City itself. As a completely new station, the potential to make this station a mixed-use development is a tempting one. Going east, the tracks will follow this spur currently used for tours by the Oklahoma Railway Museum. At around where the current track ends next to the Oklahoma City Zoo, it rides on a flyover to the I-44, where service will get up to speed and follow the highway's right-of-way all the way to Tulsa. Over there, the line will join the Cherokee subdivision and go into downtown, where it will stop at new platforms adjacent to the historic Union Station. Taking a track separated from the freight, it will continue along until North Sheridan Road, where it will go via flyover to Tulsa International Airport, on lands currently served by this gigantic car rental facility. It's bigger than the airport terminal building itself. Tulsa International is, of course, not Oklahoma's busiest airport. That would be Will Rogers. I think for practicality, an airport express from that to the Amtrak station makes the most sense with existing infrastructure. With these airport connections, I think it would also make sense to add civic amenities to rail service, such as the ability to check in luggage at the station so you don't need to carry them on the trains. As far as initial construction goes, that's it. Almost entirely on existing right-of-ways, going straight from downtown to downtown and the airport, always over mild terrain. From an engineering perspective, it's easy. I think it is reasonable to go for a single track route at first, as it is unlikely you will need frequent departures on day one. But the ability to easily add double tracks later should, of course, be prepared. It is what the Venta de Barnos to Burgos line in Spain is doing. It can work here. I think it is also possible to prepare for infill stations, but this should be on the condition that the local stops are allowed to encourage new development and density around them. Density is often the big barrier to really getting the most out of transit. I'm going to focus on Oklahoma City with this bit, since it's a very polarised city. On this map of the city by property value, we can see how downtown is a highly valuable location, but it drops off very suddenly outside of it. From a transit perspective, density is good for two reasons: more people within convenient travel distance to stops, and more attractive destinations within convenient travel distance from stops, both of which are essential for driving ridership. The city will open a BRT line, the Rapids Northwest, later this year, connecting downtown to St. Anthony Hospital, Oklahoma City University, and Integris Baptist Medical Center. If you notice, this line basically connects the two most valuable parts of the city together, proving the attraction of transit in action. For intercity travel, the good part is that you're usually connecting city centre to city centre, the most attractive part of the city to visit. The bad part is that cities obviously aren't just their city centres, and that there are plenty of great destinations and residential areas outside of it. This is the big barrier to expanding intercity passenger rail where density is low. If it takes you a while to get to the city centre station, then you may not bother. Lies why local transport to complement intercity transport is so important, and it is another area where many US cities are lacking. Oklahoma City of course has its streetcar, which isn't great, see my Kansas City video for an example of a good one, but a new major downtown station certainly won't hurt it. As mentioned, the city is also inaugurating a BRT line soon. Frequency is yet to be determined, but they do promise signal priority, which is hopefully a good sign for service quality. 2 more lines, a south and northeast, are in the planning stages. Over in Tulsa, they have a BRT line, the Aero, which runs along Peoria Avenue, with an aim of adding a second line along Route 66 to upgrade the 140 bus. This system won't win BRT awards, with not great frequency and poor density around stops. But in a case of why wasn't this built first, the Route 66 line will hit the University of Tulsa. Peoria Avenue just has to sell for Oral Roberts. Also, the Aero already has a stop outside Union Depot, which is a big plus. So those are the challenges that high-speed rail faces across the United States in general, not just in Oklahoma. But the good news is that density and transit isn't static. There's perhaps even an argument that lower density cities have the opportunity to be more flexible in how they respond to an influx of capacity and demand. Let's say that Oklahoma City Tulsa line has opened. How should we measure its success and how should it evolve? Ridership doesn't need to be massive on day one. The system just needs to demonstrate that it is drawing riders away from car travel and encouraging people to make previously unfeasible leisure and business trips, therefore proving that the line is something the cities and developers should invest in with transit-oriented development. More on that in a second. Brightline West's 7-car Siemens Velaro Novo, with a capacity of 400 passengers, seems proportionate for day one service. For a bit of perspective, Brightline Florida currently offers around 18 departures per day, roughly hourly, with some rush hour services that depart around half hourly. Assuming an equal number of arrivals and departures, that's more than enough to serve everyone who uses Tulsa International Airport at their 3,955 departures a day, versus the 7,200 Siemens Velaro Novo daily capacity. With a mix of airport passengers and city trippers, I think it's plausible to envision how the service has some built-in demand already, and has space to grow and expand in the future, with it being easily possible to expand capacity by simply elongating trains and double-tracking to improve frequency. The service's success depends on people being able to get from the stations to valuable destinations elsewhere in the city. The low density and poor public transport networks of many US cities make this difficult, but high-speed rail should be seen as a catalyst for drawing riders into local public transport, and in turn making it easier and more beneficial for those agencies to upgrade and expand their service. These cities already have the bones of a useful BRT system. It just needs to link into and interchange with more things, and an intercity rail station could very well be that thing. To draw riders, transit needs to be within walking distance of places people live, work, and enjoy their leisure time. The sprawling low density of US cities makes this difficult, but transit has more than proven itself as a vehicle to encourage densification in both physically and economically healthier cities. Within the downtowns and along the paths of their rapid transit services, there are plenty of opportunities to build up and densify. The ultimate aim should be to create a virtuous cycle of improving the cities. The rail's ridership encourages local transport improvements, which encourages greater density, which builds more ridership. For future extensions, Tulsa eastward gives several options, but that's a lot of distance to cover. Oklahoma City to Fort Worth via Denton is probably the best next step, and the one that serves for most existing travellers. At present, 295,000 annual trips are made between Will Rogers and Dallas-Fort Worth. That number should be 2.95. Ultimately, the message of this video is this. There are a lot more Oklahoma cities and Tulsas in the United States than New York cities and Philadelphias. If high-speed rail is to work in the United States on a national level, it needs to prove that it is a force for encouraging density and good transport planning on a local level. It does not have the luxury of simply waiting for those things to be in place. Oklahoma City and Tulsa will not be on a list of ideal places to build high-speed rail as they exist right now, but to examine how your average US city will respond to implementing reliable rail travel, how it should densify and reconfigure its local transportation network to serve this new opportunity, Oklahoma City and Tulsa is about perfect of a test bed as they come. If high-speed rail can be made to work there, it can be made to work everywhere.